Thanks for having me back again. And hopefully I'm going to offer in this short few minutes a couple ideas. And, you know, it's interesting listening to the prior panelists talk about data and experience, because I'm really going to, I think, build on that. And in some conversations I've been having with, you know, what I would say are some esteemed leaders in this industry here in India in the last few days, I think that this idea of experience and data is going to become very important, because some of the ideas I'm going to share, I'm going to suggest to you that success and growth in business in this industry is going to come not by growing volume. In fact, I would suggest to you that over time, the idea that volume is going to grow is not going to happen, but rather you're going to grow revenue by by taking share and by growing margin. And if you pause to think about what I just said, that's going to be transformative to business models. And I just said that in a country that has 1.3 billion people and arguably is still understored and underserved and undermauled. So millennials, whether you look in India or around the world, is either going to become or is the most powerful buying group. And you look here in India, where it represents clearly this tremendous economic opportunity for the retail industry. Nearly, you know, what percentage demographically? 40 to 50% of the economic buying power in this industry. A group of people that are attuned and ready to be customers. Same thing in China and Asia, in the United States, soon to be the most powerful buying group, right behind the often derided baby boomers, which I get reminded by my 16-year-old and 14-year-old sons who regularly derogatorily refer to me as their boomer dad. So this opportunity, and especially with the move to cities in India, which is consistent with the rest of the world, is significant for this industry. But, and this is where the important changes to serving this demographic and the impact they're having across our industry, and frankly they're having on other demographics, there's a set of characteristics of what they want that is driving the industry, and that's, you heard earlier, experience versus products. And I'm going to also talk about how they've shifted from, or shifting from, and this doesn't mean just a shift, but a transition from just simply price value to value-based. And then finally, a shift to, we were starting to call it brand belonging, but truly wanting to have a level of trust. And those are the things I'm going to talk about. And you heard earlier about experience. And where has this come from? That it used to be about a product. It used to be about a brand. And we talk about whether it's the luxury industry and wanting to have that certain luxury product or a certain logo on a shirt or a certain style, to I want to have an experience. And whether I want to spend my money on a travel experience or a day excursion, or it's not just about I'm buying a product, I want to buy a product that has more of an experience solution around it. How has that happened, and how does a retailer participate in that, or a consumer product company participate in that? And you know, there's started to be this idea that, you know, and so this is a little bit of human driven, this idea that I wanted to share that I've achieved the ability to consume things, to participate in things, and the idea that social media has enabled this. And now social media, instead of me displaying that I've got a bag or a certain clothing item that I want to celebrate, that I'm celebrating, I'm doing something, I'm experiencing something, and that social media allows that. But I think more importantly, and I'm going to, that's a little bit of the, not so positive outlook on humankind, I think. And I tend to take the more positive. I actually always take the more positive. And I believe that the human being wants to be part of a community, that they want to gather and they want to engage and they want to share and they want to participate. And, long ago, that was really a role the store played, that it was more than just a place you went and it was a place that held inventory and you picked up. It was a place that you communed. And so I believe that we're starting to see that again, that the ability to create community, and it's not just the physical place, but the place to create community, allow sharing of ideas, sharing of use of the products, and experience the brand is once again part of the promise. And the answer for any given retailer or product company, there's not one answer. And I'm going to talk about a little bit about how you do this later. But that is the idea of creating an experience. And I actually see it as the positive part of humankind. Now, the second thing is this idea of purpose-driven consumer. So a few years ago, we started doing this qualitative research where it became clear to us that, especially we saw differences in age demographics, that consumers started saying, we want to belong to the brand. We want to participate in the brand. We want to be included. We want to be part of designing things. And it's interesting, I had a conversation today with a CEO here in India about this very idea, that they're starting to try to do some things around mass customization and allowing consumers to tell them what to sell, tell them what to make. And this idea of brand belonging has become, I want to make sure you share my values. We're seeing this in the idea of a circular economy, the willingness in parts of the world to buy used clothing, not as a thrift shop kind of idea, but that I want to buy luxury clothing or high-end sneakers on an online marketplace, that I'm willing to pay more for products that are made in a way that is sustainable. We recently did a survey where 41% of the respondents still said they were focused on price value. 40% told us they were focused on purpose-driven value in companies they do business with. And that was 19,000 consumers in 28 countries. And 70% of consumers in that survey told us they were willing at times to pay more money, up to 30% more money, for products or from companies that were consistent with their expectations of environmental characteristics. And then trust. Consumers expect companies to demonstrate that their products, their services are consistent with those values, consistent with ethical sourcing, that they're from places that have been treated appropriately in terms of the terroir, the soil, that they've had labor that's appropriate, that there's transparency in the supply chain, that if there's a food safety recall, that a company knows whether their products were affected, that there's accountability, whether the company's responsible, that the company that is selling something to them is responsible for their entire supply chain all the way back to every individual source. And this level of accountability and expectation is almost unbreakable in the consumer's eyes. And the companies that are able to do this are going to have far stronger brand loyalty. So how do you do this? Well, this is the piece that we're starting to work with clients to say, we don't know the right answers in most cases, but we work in this model. And this is actually a picture from a client here in Bombay, bestseller. We call this our garage. And we co-create, and we try to work fast like a startup, and we call it fail forward, which means when you fail, you fall forward and keep going and keep learning. And so this is the idea, is that we believe you're going to have to use data, and you're going to have to understand this new millennial and take advantage of the population that they represent and the spending power they represent, but understand that they represent a very different set of ideas than most of these businesses were built on. So I'll stop there and say thank you very much.